Who will be the surprise entrance in the Women's Royal Rumble match in 2025? That is today's video for you. I've got 12 people I'm going to give you as potentials that could be in the match, and a quick disclaimer, no, I do not think all of them will be in there. There'll probably be 3, maybe 4 tops. We'll go through that, who I think will be my final selections, who will be in there at the end of the video. But first, we need to go through the potentials, and let's start off big with a big return to WWE in Becky Lynch, because reports suggest she has re-signed with the company. She will be making a return. She was even potentially going to be on the debut episode of Raw on Netflix, but of course that was pulled in the end. Instead of confronting Rhea Ripley on that show, it was instead The Undertaker celebrating with Rhea Ripley after she won the Women's World Championship. Well, if she didn't debut on that show, there is more Netflix shows that will be between now and the Royal Rumble. However, the Royal Rumble just feels like a big place to return, and obviously Becky would get a massive pop as well. And of course, what is the Royal Rumble best known for with the surprise entrance? Those big pops. Becky to return, to come back and win the match, and perhaps set up a match with her and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, certainly feels like something that would be big time, pun intended, and something I would like to see. So yeah, Becky Lynch is the first one there, but she may not be the only former WrestleMania main event of the women's division that could return in this Royal Rumble. Like that segue, Charlotte Flair is another one that could be returning in time for the Royal Rumble. She's been on the shelf injured for a very long time now, but reports suggest that she is pretty much ready and good to go. She hasn't returned yet on anything like Becky Lynch, for example, Raw on Netflix, or Return to SmackDown, where of course her husband Andrade is performing on a weekly basis. So the Royal Rumble could be the right place for the Queen to make her return. And of course, if I was to have my predictions card out right now, I would have Charlotte Flair going against the Women's Champion Tiffany Stratton at WrestleMania in Vegas. So certainly Charlotte has just as a compelling case to return at the Royal Rumble and win the match as well. If I was to get my way, I'd have both return. I'd have them be the both number 1 and number 2 entrants, because I just think the place might lose its mind in Indianapolis having 2 big returns at one time, kicking off the Royal Rumble. Talk about adding star power to that match. Another name that could be returning, and a former women's champion as well in Asuka, could return at the Royal Rumble, of course formerly of Damage Control. She returned at the Royal Rumble a couple of years ago as well, and of course she's been out injured for quite a while. Again, it'll be a big name to come in at the Royal Rumble, and something that's certainly plausible, being a part of the active WWE roster as well. Of course, been on the shelf for, like I said, the last few months, but if she can return fit and healthy in time for the Rumble, would be something I'd very much like to see, especially as Damage Control right now having a few issues going on with the Pure Fusion Collective, so that would put the numbers back in favour for Damage Control if they were to do a little segment in the Rumble match. Last but not least, of big returns, former women's champions as well, if you want to class in that bracket of people under contract with WWE right now. Someone has actually gone off and started a family that could return. Alexa Bliss. Now, if Alexa Bliss was to return at the Royal Rumble, firstly, I want the goddess back. That's just a personal preference for me, but you wouldn't be surprised if she was to be a part of perhaps the White Six in some way. I think that could be something that could work out. Obviously, Nikki Cross is part of that group as well. They could start the tag team off again. I think rumours are suggesting as well that we could have White Six and Judgment Day business going off into WrestleMania. I take that with a pinch of salt at the time of recording, but still, Alexa Bliss versus Liv Morgan is a match I would be down for seeing. I think that would be pretty cool. So yeah, I mean, Alexa Bliss to return at the Rumble. I think if she's going to return to WWE at some point, I think it's time, and I feel that there has been a tease posted on her Instagram account recently as well. So if that's the case and she is going to return, I think the Royal Rumble would be the right place to do so. Next will be someone that's not a part of the WWE roster right now, but certainly it would not be her first Royal Rumble appearance. Jordynne Grace. I think she will be coming back to the Royal Rumble this year, and I think she'll be signed with WWE. Her contract is set to expire in TNA, I believe, in a few days' time at the time of recording. So I think her last appearance could be at TNA's Genesis pay-per-view. Now, if that's the case, she would then be free a couple of weeks before the Royal Rumble. She could make a surprise entrance, and she could be arguably a big factor in the Royal Rumble as well. I personally would love her to debut at the number 30 entrant. And do you know what I think would be even extra cool touch? Not have a part of the NXT roster, have her signed to Raw or SmackDown. Just have like a little clip backstage of, you're signed now, welcome to SmackDown with Nick Aldis, for example. You're the number 30, go out and win the Rumble for SmackDown. And then just have the music hit and then her come out. I think that would be awesome. And yeah, I think Jordynne Grace could be someone that could be in the final four of the Rumble easy. Last year, she was in it as a surprise entrant as the TNA Knockouts champion. She was entrant number 5. She had a good showing, being in there for like 20 minutes or so. Like I say, I think this year she was towards the end of the field in the Rumble. I think that'd be pretty spectacular to see how far she could get towards being an actual winner of the Royal Rumble match. Now, Jordynne Grace has been a part of the Royal Rumble last year. She was also involved with NXT last year as well. Let's go through some NXT names who I think could be in the Royal Rumble this year. First on the list, no surprises here, Roxana Perez. She is ready for a Raw or a SmackDown. She's done everything there is to do in NXT. I think she's in the top 3 or 4 of longest reigning NXT champions of combined days now of all time. She held the championship for most of last year, I think stand and deliver up until New Year's Eve or now at the start of this year. She's faced all the names there is to face, and personally for me, I am excited with the prospect of Roxana Perez mixing it up with the top names on Raw and SmackDown. And the best part is now we have mid-card championships as well, so Roxanne hasn't even got to start at the top of the ladder. She can work her way through a United States Championship or an Intercontinental Championship. I would be ecstatic to see that. I think Roxana Perez to be reintroduced to the mainstream audience of WWE once again would be a very clever thing to do in the Royal Rumble. To have a lengthy spell in the Rumble as well would be a lot of fun to see, to show what she brings to the table, even if it's not an immediate call-up. But for me, I'd be quite keen to see it. Tiffany Stratton got that last year at the Royal Rumble, and look at her now. In 11 months, she's gone on to become the top champion in the company on the SmackDown side. And personally, I think Roxanne could do the exact same thing. Another name from NXT, Cor Jade, who, let's be honest, has not really had the best booking since returning to NXT. However, she's been in NXT for years now. She's been there, I think, since 2021 on screen. And I think that it's probably time to give her a call up to a Raw or a SmackDown. And I mentioned Roxana Perez because her and Cor Jade right now are getting on. Why not go for the Women's Tag Team Championships? That's another option as well. Add strength and depth to that division. And I do think actually they could walk away as champions also. I think they could be a team that could dethrone Bianca and Naomi at the time of recording. So for me, I'm going to say Cor Jade could be one to keep an eye out for. And I mentioned about strength and depth with the tag team division. NXT has, of course, Lash Legend and Jakaro Jackson. They had an appearance, of course, on Raw and SmackDown a few times last year, even competing on the Crown Jewel show for the women's tag team titles. The fact that they are now, let's say, casually known with a WWE audience, being on Raw and SmackDown, I think it would be a good idea to involve them in the Royal Rumble this year. So I would quite like to see that. I think that they would be a good use to be in the Rumble match. But speaking of women's tag teams and also potentially dethroning women's tag team champions Bianca Belair and Naomi, someone that might have a bit of a say with this is Jade Cargill. Of course, she formerly was a women's tag team champion in WWE, but of course she was mysteriously attacked towards the end of the year, taken her out of the Women's United States Championship tournament at the time, and Bianca has been looking to see who took out Jade Cargill. Question is, who was the person? You can check out the video. I've got it now on the channel who I think did the deed, but maybe we might find out in the Royal Rumble match who did it, because Jade could return and eliminate the person who is guilty, or even better yet, she could be alongside her former tag team champion and Naomi, because that could lead to an interesting dynamic in itself, because whilst Jade has been away, she's arguably been replaced. So it would be quite fun to see the dynamic. I hope Jade Cargill is fit and healthy and ready to return in time for the Royal Rumble. I think that it's time to get that storyline in motion now as we build towards WrestleMania, because you probably have a good idea of where I think it is going. But still, I will let you check out that video. I will actually link it to the end of this video so you can go and check it out. And before I wrap things up today, yes, let's go through some WWE legends that can get involved, because I love a legend in a Royal Rumble. I think it's always a lot of fun. I'm going to start off with one that would have surprised a lot of people a few weeks ago, but the fact she made an appearance in the crowd on the first Raw on Netflix means that perhaps maybe she could make a return in time for the Rumble. Nikki Bella. Yeah, Nikki Bella was in the crowd. She was dancing around. Of course, she has a lot of credibility in WWE. She main evented the first ever all-women's pay-per-view, of course, in Evolution. Of course, she's been a record holder with the Divas Championship, and she's had multiple reigns with the title as well. I certainly think she would be someone that would get a pop if she was to be involved in the Rumble. Obviously, the Bellas have always had mainstream attention outside of WWE as well, and with the Netflix era starting, I just think it's something that maybe might make a lot of sense. So Nikki Bella is certainly one to keep an eye out for the Women's Royal Rumble match. As would be Trish Stratus. Trish Stratus, of course, a legend, arguably some would say the greatest woman of all time in WWE. She's had great matches in the Attitude Era, of course, Ruthless Aggression Era, and even in this current generation era as well. The Steel Cage match with Becky Lynch about 18 months ago was awesome as well. Of course, Zoey Stark turned on Trish Stratus after that match as well. Could be a fun way to bring Trish in for a cameo in the Royal Rumble if they wanted to do so. Maybe want to do something with Zoey Stark, perhaps even Becky Lynch as well. So certainly something to keep an eye out for. And the last name I will mention is AJ Lee, because my goodness, I want to see it. Even if I'm not sure if it's going to happen, I want to see it. I know CM Punk wants it. I know many of you want it to happen. Look, I can only just say, let's keep the fingers crossed. Of course, she's also a record holder when it comes to holding the Divas Championship previously. Of course, she's not been involved with WWE since WrestleMania 31 in 2015. It's been 10 years. It feels like the right time is here and now for a cameo in the Rumble. You would love to see it, and certainly if it was to take place at a time when Roxana Perez and Cor Jade were in ring, I think that would just be the cherry on top. So that's my potentials that I think could be in the Women's Royal Rumble. If you had to make me narrow it down to 3 names who I think will be in there, I think that's a fair way to do it. Which 3 names do I think are going to make it of that list? I'm going to say Becky Lynch, I'm going to say Charlotte Flair, and I'm going to say Jordynne Grace. Those are the 3 that I think definitely will be surprise entrants in the Women's Royal Rumble. Triple H seemingly likes to have a big impact and people that can make a difference coming in, and I think the fact obviously Becky and Charlotte are 2 big names going into WrestleMania season, to have them back will just strengthen the rosters in a very quick fashion. And I think Jordynne Grace coming in is someone that could be someone that's full-time, new to the company, fresh, and obviously she'll make just as big an impact as well. If I had my way, I think she would go to the SmackDown roster. I think there's some great matches for her on that brand, the likes of Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax, but actually start her off with Chelsea Green for the Women's United States Championship going into WrestleMania. But that's my thoughts and predictions who I think will be in the Women's Royal Rumble match 2025 as surprise entrants. It's time to get involved now in the comments below who you think will be the surprise entrants in this year's match. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share with a friend, subscribe as well. It's important to do that if you are into WWE and Royal Rumble season, because there'll be plenty of Royal Rumble videos coming to this channel, including who will be the surprise entrants in the men's match. You can click the link for that one. You can get yourself a reminder on that video. But in the meantime, if you want to see a full video right now, then check out who I think attacked Jade Cargill. That's on the side of your screen as well. Take care. Thanks for watching. I'll see you for the next video.